side of the rift. That makes sense. Apparently, that last sign was saying blaming others is okay. Don't trust teammates, trust yourself.
That's a solo queue player right there.
Yeah, I was going to say that is the worst solo queue advice I've ever heard. Or maybe it's good. Maybe it's good solo queue advice and terrible advice for life.
I don't even know if it's good solo queue advice, to be honest.
I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. It sounds like a not the greatest way to live, but maybe it's the safest way to live. I don't know. Okay, here we are. Finally, we are in ban and pick. Akali has also finally been banned away. That will be taken away first here by DRX. I always find it interesting, right? Because DRX are on blue side, and you often associate DRX with the team that had, you know, Rascal and Chovy, and like, you'd think Akali would be first pickable, but no, that's not the team anymore, and they have 2 top laners now. And Akali in the wheelhouse, but not necessarily what they're going to be going for this time. As Gwen, they passed the test, taking it away.
I was actually wondering whether they were like, okay, Destroy, you're going to go into a skill matchup on Keen. We're just going to first pick you Gwen. Good luck, buddy. Have fun with Keen. And then see how that goes for the first match. But I think this is the safer choice. My expectation is that they're going to put Keen or Destroy Redder on something like the Gnar, if they can then find it. Although even that, like I say the Gnar as in like it's a kind of safe pick. But then you're playing into probably like Keen or Aurelia, and that's not good at all, because even our best top laners have issues with that. So it's just, this is an issue that DRX I think need to solve in this draft. There's the option of flexibility, there's the option of going for like, obviously Lulu not available, but the Karma top lane is still one that can really neutralize lanes very well. So a pickup here would not surprise me, but
Renekton gets through for, I feel like, what is the first time?
Yeah, that's
Are we going to see what happened in the LEC last night? Which was the Olaf response.
I did really appreciate the Olaf. That is a very good way to go.
It didn't work, but it was cool. You know?
Works for me.
Yeah.
Honestly. I like it. They have the Karma as well. Karma Olaf, you know, it's...
Oh, there we go.
However, playing...
They had Karma Olaf. Did they have the Karma Lulu that game as well? I'm trying to remember what Fnatic did.
Not 100% sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it was Cog Lulu bot lane.
There you go.
And it was Karma mid, I think. Anyway, it's going to be an Udyr, so we don't even need to worry about it. Udyr Karma, another fantastic combo. As maybe the collective can let me know. Let me check.
Pioshik Nidalee? Question mark. It is the Renekton. Taliyah is also an available pick. I know people don't really like it, but with the Renekton specifically, I still think it's a fine champion. Also able to be played, but the Nidalee is a staple.
Yep.
It's the most basic choice. It's one that works well, and I actually would not be shocked to see a set pick up here, and then you can flex that set around, you could throw him to support, but instead it would be Nautilus, and that's really interesting to me because I think that picking up something that's a bit more flexible or picking up your support with an AD carry makes more sense, because Nautilus, in my opinion, doesn't actually work like Ezreal Nautilus, right? It's not something you're going to be super excited about, it's just kind of there. It's not great. And Kai'Sa probably not going to make it through if you go face up with the Nautilus, as it's an Ezreal Karma lane for Afreeca. Leon Lahan's looking like you're going to have a lot of fun here, if it is a support Karma, which I kind of think it goes very well off the edge.
I'm assuming it's mid. Because historically, Karma has been one of Fly's best champions that he's ever played. And in fact, in supportive mid lane metas, Fly's been one of our good mid laners. But because the meta moved away from his playstyle so drastically, it's been very difficult for him to really find himself, you know? And so I'm expecting it to go mid. But of course, Ezreal Karma is an extraordinarily strong lane.
That's the main thing, and I would not hate to see Fly in it. Then you probably end up with like a Leona, makes sense. With the Ezreal, it's quite nice. But if you do go for the Karma Ezreal, you will mitigate a lot of the weaknesses that Ezreal naturally has in the early game. Also, Lahen's on Enchanters is just always a treat. Even though we have differing opinions on how much skill oppression there actually is in Karma. That's okay. You know, we take it as we see the Kalista ban come through, and it's an interesting one. I feel like with this composition specifically, it makes a lot of sense, because this is, there's the Kai'Sa ban as we mentioned previously. This is as face up of a we're going to stomp you in 25 minutes composition as possible.
Yes.
And in that regard, I would actually like to see Afreeca pick away the set, or champions like it, because the more dive and like setup and skirmishing power you give this DRX lineup, the harder it's going to be for you to actually play the video game.
I'm very interested in what's going to be picked up next, because they could pick up the support, but then they're saying that Karma is definitely going into the mid lane. Ooh, Rumble would have been interesting, because Fly does play that one. Although I guess you're not flexing the Udyr, and Fly is going to go back to one of his favorites, and this is going to be a double augmented Dread Udyr.
Yeah.
Think about that. That's a lot of Speedy Bear situation going on.
But how much fun are you having if you're Orianna and you're playing into King into Renekton with Pioshik on Italy? Like that doesn't seem great to me, and it's something that I'd be moderately worried about. If they are going to go that direction, obviously we don't know yet. And ideally, you pick a flex here where you can still flex both these two picks either way, because you know we could have seen this coming, right? The R5 counter pick for Keen. That's not shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. And yeah, there we go. Very, very nice. Now you can flex both of these depending on the matchup that you get in topside. Of course, Zed and Renekton somewhat similar in terms of matchup spreads.
Yeah, maybe the Orianna was a mistake, because that could have been set picked right there, and we know that Fly, Keen, and Lehens can all play it theoretically. Ooh. So a lot of switching could happen, as there's the Gangplank. Definitely a fantastic matchup into Renekton, but also won't do too badly into the set, I guess. We'll have to see how it does go, as Keen is, of course, a different breed, so maybe matchups matter a little bit less.
Yeah, I'm a bit apprehensive of the Afreeca Freecs draft here, because I feel like the way that they guaranteed win this game, they feel still very much could, because this is an amazingly scaling team composition. You're always going to have a window back into the game, right? You have Ezreal, which is one of the strongest teamfight AD carries. Orianna is always solid, even though in the meta right now she's not the best. You have an immobile AD carry on the other side without any peel into a Gangplank and a Udyr with multiple speed ups. Like, all that is great. But if you look at the laning pressure and the amount of objectives that DRX should be able to pick up with Prio in basically every lane, outside of like the early matchup for the Renekton into the Gangplank, I think it's going to be a really rough one. It's really going to be holding on tight for Afreeca, and that's not, in my opinion, where they excel the most.
No, but if they do make it to like 30 minutes into the game without a 10k gold deficit, yeah, you're right. I mean, we've seen what Ezreal's do, and I was very vocal about it in our last series. And it's probably, you know, on the cards to be happening again. This Frozen Heart Ezreal is just revolting.
How much AP is there on the other side? And the answer is barely any. It's just Pioshik on mid lane, which if he doesn't have a good game and Leo gets the Frozen Heart, as you say, it's basically the game.
Well, we'll just have to see how it goes. DRX have their very weird and wonderful roster situation. They've picked two top laners, I guess, theoretically, in this game. Two bruisers, which is what we were expecting based on the outcome. Renekton, extraordinarily strong at this point in time, and Keen has decided to answer it with the Gangplank, as we've seen plenty of times in the past. As Destroy makes his debut, like, this is out of the furnace into the fire, if ever I've seen it, you know? Very difficult to make your debut against Keen. However, sometimes you got to get straight into the deep end, and you can't blame him. Let's see how he's actually going to go. He's been given the best tool, theoretically, the extraordinarily almost permabanned Renekton. In that regard, it is quite nice, and the main thing to me is what I think the Gangplank is really strong, and you know, it's Keen. If anyone can gap any matchup, regardless of situation, probably him. And this is interesting. Yeah, I don't know if that goes very well for Destroy, actually. No, it doesn't. Because the level 1 Gangplank is just dumb. Yeah, that's a roughie. However, it is Grasp into Conqueror, so at least Destroy gets a bit of Conqueror value. And they are even on health, so there we go. I'll try my best to become the starting player. Well, let's see whether Destroy can do it. Of course, played on a few of our challenger teams before heading in, but has been with the DRX org for quite some time. And it's like they're both really looking here. What Destroy is doing right now is also going to be the main nerf that's coming through on Renekton on the next patch, where his sustain of going for an empowered Kill the Meek on the wave is not going to be nearly as strong. But I feel like that's been nerfed like 7 times. Yeah, it has been. Yeah. It's never enough, you know, with the proc. As it turns out, a point-and-click
stun. I mean, it's not even point and click, you know, it's just an auto attack.
Indeed.
It's just always good in a game where you can get blown up in half a second, and Destroy is getting the bounce and now hopefully makes his way out of there, because I'm pretty sure they didn't spot Dreadrada, considering he hasn't gone to his Raptors yet. But he honestly should be looking to get like the bounce and then let the wave shove back into him, because really need to respect.
Oh no. Well, I think Destroy's dead, ladies and gentlemen. That is not exactly how you want things to go in your first game, but Keen really asserting his dominance, and I don't think anyone's surprised.
We're not. And unfortunately, better men have fallen against Keen, and it's...
Hey, at least he didn't die 2 times in a row within 20 seconds.
I mean,
teleport's
coming in, Atlas.
Oh no!
That's for that one.
Now that's a cast of curse if ever I've seen one, as Keen is also teleported back. He's got Sheen on his first back, and guys, it's over. The top lane is not in a great spot. However, I mean, still Renekton, so maybe there's that, but as you can see, oh god. Is this something that we're going to have to like message Jonah Strong and say, no, can we just keep that off the screen?
They're really, really honing in it as well, which actually made me believe preemptively, like there's obviously like the trading is not enough action in of itself, and yeah, Keen sees the early game Renex and he's like, but you have no health, and I'm on the trades, and what are you doing?
Even dings 3 so that he can have some celebratory oranges as soon as he gets some mana for it. It's fantastic.
Yeah. On the plus side, this in of itself doesn't completely mold the lane. Obviously, Destroy's not going to have a fun time, but maybe if you get a nice gank with a big wave stack, so you can take the Gangplank down. Diving always remains the availability, especially with something like the set available. But what I'm seeing here right now is DRX, who are 700 gold behind with a composition that is on a very tight clock.
Yeah.
And that's not great.
It will involve Pyoshik needing to get around the map, right? And destroy... Oh, wait, no, oranges exist. So, never mind. The top lane's still going to be very, very hard regardless of jungler interaction. And the problem with this isn't the fact that Destroy's getting pushed in. It's the fact that Gangplank gets to have a free laning phase and just gets to build all of his really fun items and have a great time. And, yeah, Destroy's... I mean, it's 2 more bullets and he dies. As there's the flash forward, passage there. Destroy's going to flash for fun, and Keen is going to get a solo kill under the turret.
I know he's going to get a POG this game, Atlas.
I'm sorry for not being like super excited about that, but I think we all saw it. We all saw the play.
We saw it coming, and
oh no.
Yeah.
Well, Dread is now just going to run away. He'll be absolutely fine. And I think this is what a lot of the fears were. We saw the roster a little bit earlier today, and I was thinking, look, I get it, but I also don't at the same time.
On everything about this as well, right? Like, he has the corrupting pot ticking. He knows he's going to ding 6 for the extra health, and even if he doesn't need it, he can always throw down the ultimate. It's just...
Yeah.
Perfect play.
Well, there's the flash face breaker. Pyoshik's here as well. Shockwave onto a couple as Fly's going to flash and get himself out of the way. So a trade of flashes there in the mid lane. Not able to quite find the kill onto the Orianna, but is going to be a much more juicy target now.
And it was we talked about high risk, high reward, right? Bring and destroy in. And the thing is, I think you get away with this against a lot of LCK top laners, because even though we have a lot of good ones, not all of them are really as punishing. I think some comes to mind.
Like, there's very few players in the world that are Keen, right? Like,
yeah.
I think Keen is definitely a rare breed of top laner.
Well, I agree, but even someone like Khan, who I think is an expert top laner, to me, I wouldn't expect him to, like, bully someone out of lane to such an extent necessarily, right? Because his value comes from how well he plays team fights and how he moves around the map. Whereas Keen, it's just...
It's 6.5 minutes into the game!
And this is something that I kind of understand from DRX's perspective, but also in my opinion is Destroy is also being left out to dry here, right? Because he is getting no help.
I mean, in Pyoshik's defense, what do you do?
Well,
you can't gank the losing lane that hard, right?
Because at this point, if you get counter ganked, you lose the game.
Yeah.
Or if it's Keen, so maybe you find some 1v2 outplay. You don't know. It's just all
I mean, that's still the same result, right? It's just, you could lose the game or lose the game even more than that.
And that's why you need to rotate King in. but they don't really want to do that. You can't, like, Orianna will shove you in fairly quickly. It's not like the set has that much of an easy time getting prio. So in that case, you know, when in doubt, I guess just dive bot lane.
Well, Kingen is looking for it. That dredge line was very interesting based on the wall positioning, and Kingen's actually going to be in a little bit of trouble here. Thankfully, Haymaker is one heck of an ability, and yeah, doesn't really matter. He's not going to die, but also they're not going to be able to find any joy onto this this bottom lane of the Afreeca Freecs. Oh,
it's looking like pure disaster, Atlas. I don't have any other words for it.
Every single pellet from that gun is just, it's straight through the heart, isn't it? It's so hard for Destroy right now. And you really feel for the guys. True Shot Barrage, Bow. Ooh, not going to get hit by any of the subsequent abilities. Thankfully, the auto attack is going to land there from Leo, but this is just putting on pressure, right? Doesn't really matter if you miss a couple of those. They still have so much power in this lane. As even Fly feeling pretty good here in this mid lane, 15 CS in the lead, as Pioshik is going to come around again. As Fly dissonance speeds himself back and is, oh, okay. I thought he was going to go and try and ward deep there.
Yeah.
That would have been very dangerous as Keen eats some oranges and continues shooting the crocodile.
I was saying that DRX was in the clock and like, oh, they have this lane pressure, but that's, yeah, he's not really there. You need to skirmish well.
Indeed. Well, Destroy is looking to try and get himself back something. Pops the Dominus and now doesn't have that available as Keen is going to move on down here, spotted by the ward. Destroy will actually have some space here as Chronicler's head in hands right now, wondering how the heck he's supposed to talk about the rest of this game after the crocodile abuse that has happened at the beginning.
And the Gangplank into Renekton matchup is one where it is actually, it's a really solid matchup, right, for the Gangplank. There's a reason why that pick comes through often.
Yeah.
You can deal really, you win the early game, the first couple of levels, but then ideally the Renekton obviously doesn't die, you know, picks up Tabis on an early back, which he just got those now. That's very late with the Kindle Gem. And then you can still set up plays. Obviously, the Renekton combination is going to be a little bit harder, but once all abilities are used by the Gangplank, he is still diveable. He is squishy. Once you actually get on top of him and you have the damage, the Dominus, you can still get through him or you can rotate King up the top side. But the problem is, that matchup was won so hard by Keen that is no longer an option. He's also gone for
He went for a Trinity Force?
Oh my...
Wow.
I kind of get it.
Maybe that's to say, like, Divine Sunder is too strong. Come on, let's make a game of it.
I think Divine Sunderer is really solid in terms of, it gives you the additional sustain, right? It's really good in terms of max health. But if you're just continuously fighting, I think Triforce still has a lot of value. And in this scenario, Keen is just going to be up in Destroy's face permanently. And this is not ideal for Destroy, but also, can we really blame him? I kind of feel like we can't. Like, I don't really want to necessarily, because it felt inevitable the moment that we saw this. And it was like, okay, DRX, so you're going to sack top lane. Like, what else are you getting? And the answer currently is nothing. They lost the Drake. They didn't get the Rift Herald, which is, of course, understandable considering the topside pressure. We're approaching 11 minutes, and neither these sets nor the Nidalee have been able to find anything. Yeah, I guess Bow's up 8 CS, so that's... I mean, the wave's crashing, so he's going to be up like 2 CS. So
I mean, Fly is almost up 20 CS right now.
Yes, because it is Fly Orianna.
It is indeed. And this is, you know, like we were talking about. Fly, when he gets on Comfort Champions, has always been... He's like Crown. If you remember back to 2017, Crown was like our Malzahar guy. He was the mastery player. He was the guy that knew how to play, like, 3 or 4 champions extraordinarily well. And Fly is the same thing, but now it's about breadth, right? As Destroy, yeah, you wouldn't be able to be doing that next patch, I'll tell you that much. As, no, he's now looking for a back. In fact, he can't do it now, right?
He's also still not doing it this point.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we've gone a patch into the future. Ooh,
actually, you know, one good thing that comes out of this game is that I guess we can talk about Malzahar again now that the Kali is so broken. Maybe that's something that needs to make a...
Hey, yeah, there we go.
Needs to come back into the meta.
I mean, Fly was pretty good at the Malzahar too.
Yeah, because outside of that, I feel kind of bad because this is vintage Afreeca. And with this composition, it's not the type of composition where I'm like, maybe the Afreeca effect kicks in, you know, maybe past 20 minutes they're going to start making mistakes like, look at the champions on the right side, Atlas, it's an Ezreal and Orianna. And a
Karma. I mean, the only thing that doesn't ultra scale is the Udyr, but Udyr has Orianna and Karma to augment him in the later stage, and we're seeing the power here as the Gangplank's there with the Cannon Barrage. There's a Shockwave. Keen's also just going to follow on through. Flies gifted over the kill because Keen likes to share the wealth, and Destroy was walking down the river and is now going to eat some honey fruit, sadly. And now Afreeca going to start off this Drake, and the whole map belongs to Afreeca. They're able to do absolutely whatever they want. This is actually, right now, this is the biggest stump that we've seen so far.
Yeah. So how are the Korean lessons going?
Yeah, not bad, not bad.
Inevitable segue there because...
Yeah, how about you? We're about to have our first in-person classes. We have them every Tuesday. A little bit nervous about leaving the house, but very excited to get some more learning. Hopefully we can learn what Gangplank destroys Renekton is in Korean.
That would be cool.
Because I'd like to have a conversation with Cloud Templar about that after this game. Because this is definitely just, it's just not very fair.
Yeah, it's hard. Like I said,
2,000 gold.
I think the amount of knowledge that you must have to like pilot this matchup early very well against a player like Keen, like that's a really high barrier to match. But it's also like this is Destroy's first game, right? But going in level 1 on Renekton against the Gangplank is just not something that's ever going to work out for you. Like in the long trades, eventually you're going to have to run away because Trial by Fire is so strong, and then he's just going to get like 1 or 2 and Grasp Empowered procs off on you. And there's just never a way where really you win that early on in the matchup. And it's not a good look for Destroy, but at the same time, like everything that subsequently happened, I feel is also this big game. Like this lane specifically was basically over like a minute in against a player like Keen, and that's something that's upsetting. But if you're Destroy, you're just looking forward to okay, I messed up, just need to not let it get to me. As yeah, he's oh my god, that damage.
It's just ridiculous. He's got himself his serrated Dirk now, probably building towards the Collector, which is the most popular second item when you do go for the Trinity Force build. Cool thing about Gangplank is that there are a lot of builds floating around at the moment. You can still go Shield Bow, Essence Reaver if you would like to. The Divine Sunderer, of course, is something that a lot of people have been heading towards. And Titanic Hydra. It's just, it feels like every item that helps you hit stuff is just really good. Shockwave going to land onto Pyosik here, who's just burning down. Dread actually respecting Becca's rotation, though, a lot. Pyosik still had Flash, so they're not going to go for it. Primal Surge also can make things a bit misleading as Pyosik uses it right then. Dread walks into the spear, which ain't great, but Lehen's over here as well, just to make sure that Becca can't go for any sort of engage. And Afreeca continuing to have answers here to everything that DRX are trying to do.
At least there was no Grasp, so it could have been worse there for Destroy.
Yeah, there we go.
It's something. And this is a hard one. You have a composition that doesn't scale exceptionally well on the side of DRX. And I think you could still win a skirmish if someone is horribly out of position and you blow them up and then you kind of go from there. And do not forget, we saw Damwon Kia win with basically a composition like this, like 40 minutes into the game. But then the issue arises that DRX isn't Damwon Kia, and it's and
I also yeah,
it's also like look at who they're playing against. It's so hard, right? Because I want to find openings here, Atlas. I really do.
No, there is none. We've got to be honest. I mean, this game's over, right?
It should be, but there is. Like, on one hand, DRX excel at long games, so if this game somehow, for some reason, unknown reason goes on for like 20 more minutes, and Afreeca used to have a problem closing out games. If those two factors coincide, and like the weather is right, and all like the planets align, then maybe there is a timeline.
Or Keen didn't get enough sleep last night,
yeah.
falls asleep. right now.
And then they tilt, but the fact that we're going into such extremes says a lot about the state of the match. I would personally say, yeah. But that's okay.
I did appreciate your optimism.
Yeah.
I really like it. I really like it.
You got to go for it. But realistically, this is a outstanding composition that has found a free kick gold lead in the early game, as well as 2 Drakes, is about to hit soul point. And if you look at the item spikes, I don't think there's any way that you fight this. DRX also clearly not really in the mindset to get that done. Shoved in mid lane, shoved in on bot lane. Teleport is available though.
Yep, Serpent's Fang also completed now as Kingan's going to dive on in. Facebreaker onto Dread, who's just going to get some boots there, but there's a 2-man shockwave. Cannon Barrage going to land. Koshik immediately exhausted as the True Shot Barrage is going to sail by majestically. Unfortunately, DRX had already backed away, so it's not going to find any joy. And this is what Afreeca can do. They just press the Cannon Barrage button, and any sort of engage is just said no to.
First turret was just picked up by Keen. What a surprise. What a surprise. Keen does it again. It's just, yeah.
Yeah. And,
I feel like
we're at soul point now as well.
I feel like this is where we do actually pivot back into the Korean Lesser conversation. I feel like that's the most...
No. This is where we start talking about perfect game.
Thank you.
And making sure that Afreeca hold on to the perfect game. So if anyone dies, if they lose a Herald, they lose a turret. Do they have, I think, did they lose any plates at all?
Based on the health of the turrets, I'd say I don't...
It's a bit of a no, I
don't think so.
Considering they didn't take all of the plates, though, so I guess it's
maybe bot side. I think bot side, I might have lost 1 or 2 plates.
Yeah, the perfect dist game is where you lose no plates, take all of their plates, never die, take all the heralds, take all the dragons.
Yeah.
And all the barons.
But they did get Shirley, or Shelly rather. I don't think... yeah, they just got Shirley as well. So
yeah, and then they got both heralds. They got they're sorted there.
The Shell sisters. Yeah, so no one needs to die, which with this composition honestly should not be that hard. DRX is going to try and engage on you, and then you press really any of the buttons. You have Karma Shield, you have Orianna Ultimate, you have a beautiful
it still could be difficult, right? Because there is pick potential from DRX. They landed Chains of Corruption, things like that. There is a chance that one person dies this game. So Afreeca needs to be very, very careful.
I was very worried for a second there because I thought you were talking about actual team fights, but when it comes to individual...
Oh, no. I'm saying that in a team fight, they may not perfectly ace the opponent. Yeah, that's a fair bit of damage. I don't know, man. It's just some Keen things.
I think we can after this first game, and I'm not one to usually go for results-based analysis, but I think Keen is really good, and I was on board with the idea of swapping out Kingan because I really like Kingan as a player, and I was willing to give Destroy the benefit of the doubt. But I'm starting to feel like it might have been too risky, and it is getting punished.
I think perhaps a mistake may have been made.
There is a distinct possibility. I want to be very clear in my phrasing. There is a distinct possibility that a mistake has been made by DRX in their risk assessment.
Yes.
And currently they are experiencing the adverse results of said faulty risk assessment.
Yes, I think perhaps, a mistake has been made. Just to translate, I think he might have been speaking Dutch then. I'm not entirely sure, but yes, mistakes were made.
That bad? Oh my god.
No, it was great. It was absolutely fine. I just wanted to make it a little bit more succinct for you, but that's okay.
Oh, that's good. That's helpful. Like this game, you mean? Because 2.5 minutes, presumably, it's going to be the end of that one.
It's a 4,500 gold lead. And we are still at perfect game pace. 2 minutes until Infernal Soul is available here. And I just want to add, have we had like 1 Cloud Soul this whole season?
Yeah, it's been amazing. And to add to that, this is the first game that we've had that was this one-sided. I think actually the LCK thus far has been super good. We've had a lot of
really
games, back and forths. And even games where teams fell behind, it felt like there was still the opportunity to come back. Yeah. Obviously, KT just getting a huge win. So all those developments are great, but you kind of knew that there was going to be a classic LCK game at some point.
Yeah, and I don't think this is necessarily classic LCK. This is just a stomp, right? I think classic LCK is like, it would be 0-0-0-0 instead of 0-0-3-3 5k gold lead. situation.
I respect that.
But I do understand what you're talking about, because we haven't had a one-sided affair like this in quite some time. We have to remember as well that Afreeca have started off the season 1-0 after Fred Brion also had a pretty good debut game. And so, certainly good news for them. And I think a lot of people, in their heart of hearts, want Afreeca to be good. You know? As no more perfect game. Oh my goodness!
They lost the turret.
So our producer just wrote this on our prompter, and when I saw, okay, meanwhile there is a bit of a fight here. It's the fight's over.
There is a fight. No, fine.
Yeah,
no fight.
Leo pressed his arcane shift, flash, and heal buttons, and he was K. Now Dread is just running pretty aggressively into the enemy jungle. Bao in a lot of trouble. That's an optimistic teleport from Keen, or is it? Bao's really dead. Oh, Keen's put into the bouncy castle though and is taken down. Goodbye perfect game yet again. As the Gangplank does throw his life away. Now Destroy. Oh no. This is handbag territory right now. He's looking to taxi through onto Lahens, who is now in a host of trouble. Okay, I take it all back. Maybe, just maybe it's the turnaround. As Afreeca Freecs still liking their opportunities, but it's 4 versus 3. Leo needs to get some work done. That's a 2-man shockwave though. Beautiful stuff from Fly, who now wants to take down Pyoshik. Destroy might be the consolation prize, and absolutely is. So, the wallets were very heavy. Afreeca certainly with a few whoopsies there in that little exchange, but they'll still get the Infernal Soul, and they're still on track to winning this game.
Every Afreeca fan, they saw that moment and were like, no, not like last
Some
play.
clenching definitely happened.
Not again. But they recuperate. That teleport from Keen is obviously not going to stop him from getting the PhD for this game, but it was very optimistic, not necessary at all. The best part about this teleport is that if the rest of his team actually follows up immediately, this doesn't even matter. But instead, it spreads them out, right? It's a miscommunication, and we have Fly on one side, and then the rest on a different one. This is actually super well played by Destroyed, even through the exhaust, right? He knows the rest of his team is coming up, uses Lahens to taxi out of there, and they play this really, really well. But as you said, while we were getting excited, Fly and Leo are just like full health, and like they are never ever winning this, because they did use absolutely everything to just get on top. And that was also why, if I see how that works...
Oh, yeah. Okay, here's another fight. This might... Oh my goodness, okay. Well, goodbye bottom lane.
As I was saying, before I got rudely interrupted by, Afreeca running all over DRX.
They are indeed. Shirilda's Grudge now completed for Keen, who has 3 items done. That's double the items that Destroy has. Completed. 2-0-2 just quietly for Keen, for Fly, sorry, as well. And the Baron is well and truly dead. Neutral objectives, certainly something that they've had a monopoly on, as Leo looking for Pyoshik here, who is just going to pounce past. Leo just missing a few of these, as the spear is not going to be missed, but still there is an Inspire Shield from Lahens. And he's just going to wander his way out. Let's have a look at how this all started, as Dread ran on in, and Cannon Barrage is going to make things really, really rough for Bao and Becker.
And here we see the power of the composition, and why going into this game we were like, you know, if you get to the late game as Afreeca Freecs on even footing or relatively behind, you give up a Drake or 2, you scale into your 2-item spikes, then this is normally where this composition should really start to shine. Where the early game advantage that DRX have been able to build up kind of here is
King is on some vision. Showstopper is going to get some space there as he goes golden just to celebrate for a few moments and delay the inevitable.
That's a JoJo pose if I've ever seen one. Really appreciate that from King and giving us something to talk about, you know? It was actually perfect.
Oh, okay. That's why he's the starting top laner. He knows how to do it. As, okay, Afreeca just going to deal with this inner turret now in the mid lane. This is a difficult game to talk about, isn't it? 7,000 gold is the lead, and it's not crazy insurmountable, but what we've been doing is tacking on the fact that DRX have such an early gauged composition, right? Early geared composition. And Afreeca is certainly very happy to scale forever. Really.
Yeah, it's just how these compositions are designed to work, and normally this is where, like, as DRX, you're testing, is our lead big enough? Did we do enough? to still win 5v5s with an amazing private composition, but here comes a possible flank.
Yeah, that's a flank. All 5 members of Afreeca are here, and Destroy's like, nope, 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 nope. Get me back out of here.
And they teleport to top lane.
No, okay, this is just like, I'll show you how to flank. It's once again King and flexing. He's flanking all the way to the very top of the map. And there's no more minions here. So the teleport was odd. We are looking for another turret as Destroy is in the mid lane, and Afreeca are respecting it a lot more. Okay, never mind. They're going to send Keen back, and he's got Cannon Barrage, so he can take care of these 2 lanes by himself, I guess, theoretically. As he's just going to head over and look to see what Destroy is doing. Meanwhile, the rest of the Afreeca members take the inhibitor and go back. Leo completes his Frozen Heart. There is your Zhonya's for Fly. And yes, this is all in days, really, for Afreeca. Very comfortable at this stage of the game. Not going to be able to find that. That's 10 gold for Destroy, as Dread just wanders on forward. Troll Ward goes in, might be a little bit optimistic, but missed by a lot of the abilities. And Cannon Barrage goes down. Gochik soaking way too much damage, but Keen is immediately taken down. Destroy now in some trouble, though, as Leo just trying to fight this one out. Front to back, the double with the True Shot Barrage. Misses a few skill shots, but hits the ones that he needs to, as there's the Inspire, trying to get Leo to close the gap. But Afreeca still winning out on the fight. That's a lot of damage. As those first 3 items, man, the item spike is just revolting. 6-0-0 on this Ezreal, and they'll take down their second inhibitor. It's feeling like a bit of a for-fun game for Keen, as that flash was absolutely necessary. Leo going to avoid the spear. Now we'll see whether we play it by the book or whether Afreeca are going to try and go for the end of the game. Looks like it's not going to be that, as we've got 50 seconds on the Elder.
And we still see glimpses of why maybe the first, I don't know, 5 minutes of this game, we're like, okay, it's DRX, it can still happen, but at this point in time, the leads that were built up by Afreeca are just too big. The compositional advantage is too grand, and sure, Keen dies.
He wasn't allowed to do anything.
Yeah, Keen literally got like, but this is the thing, every ult gets blown just to kill Keen, and that makes you happy for like a split second until you realize there is a, like, at that point, 4-0 Ezreal with 3 items finished, and you're like, what
yeah.
What do we... Because even if you get on any of them, there's a Karma and an Orianna, and the fact that we even have to discuss like why it shouldn't happen is, I guess, testament to DRX, you know, if you're a really optimistic person.
Yep, not personally. I'm not going to fit into that category in this particular game, Chronicler. I apologize.
You shouldn't.
Well, Keen is just going to take the Elder Drake by himself, as the rest of the Afreeca Freecs going to act as gatekeepers. And by rest of Afreeca Freecs, I think just Leo, who does throw a True Shot Barrage into the ether, but at least he's able to avoid a lot of these skill shots as well. And goodbye, Elder. That one's going to be collected. Goodbye, Nexus turret as well, as Destroy's going to come down. Look to see whether he can save it. See how that one does go. Does get the attention of the Super Creep, but it's not going to be enough. And it's going to be taken down. So Afreeca now with the Elder, and 1 Nexus turret between them, and a 30-minute very comfortable victory over DRX. Let's see whether they just close it out right here. There is 40 seconds on the Baron though, boys. Come on, we could go grab a Baron, couldn't we? As there's a dredge line. Depth charge come through as well. There's a lot of space gained by Leo, who goes golden. Keen's in a bit of trouble here. Haymaker to try and keep himself alive, but it's not going to work. Destroy will be destroyed. It's a double kill for Fly, as now Dread looking to try and find someone to boot. Not quite able to. Chains of Corruption basically ignored here by the Udyr, who's pretty tanky. Especially when he can get into that turtle stance. It's Shockwave onto a couple. Goodbye, Mr. Varus. As Fly is going to celebrate by dying to a fountain. And Afreeca Freecs will obliterate game 1.
What can you do after a game like that, Atlas? I'm honestly not sure.